Hello, hello. Welcome back to Peak Northwest, an outdoors and travel podcast by the Oregonian and OregonLive, dedicated to the adventure and exploration of our beautiful Pacific Northwest. I'm Jamie Hale.
And I'm Chiara Profena. Together we take you to some of the most beautiful and interesting destinations in our region, discussing where to go, what to do, and places to see. And today we're visiting 5 of Oregon's smallest towns.
Those little tiny towns that you might just drive right through or right by, or you might not even know they exist at all because they're down some weird back road or something. I'm not like I love like a charming town. I'm not a huge like ghost town person.
Right. And these are like the smallest.
Yeah.
So it was even hard to figure out what those were going to be.
Yeah. Well, are you a small town person, Chiara?
No. I'm like the largest city I can find type of person, but like with nature. So
yes.
I feel like I've landed in the right spot.
Yes, exactly. I feel like I go to where there are things to do.
Right.
And typically that's not the smallest towns, but on the show today, we have someone who's really good at finding those crazy things to do or the interesting people in the smallest places, who is passionate about these small towns. We have back once again our colleague Sam Swindler, features reporter for the Oregonian. Sam, thank you so much for coming back on the pod.
It is my pleasure.
So you have been working on this project on Oregon's smallest towns. Tell us a little bit about where this came from, what got you interested in this.
I went to the 5 smallest cities in Oregon. And the caveat here is that these are actually like municipal cities that have a functioning city government, and they have a city council and a mayor. Because there's lots of little like ghost towns or small communities, spread out in Oregon. But I think I was really interested in the idea that like a couple dozen people are running a functioning city government, and like what does that look like? So I looked at the census, and then I also contacted the League of Oregon Cities, which gave me a list of all the cities in Oregon and their estimated population sizes. And it took me a while to get to all of them in between all my other reporting because they're not near anything. But I finally did it, and I'm working on writing those stories, and I really thought I would have them all written by the time we did this podcast, but I have not. So stories to come, stories and videos to come.
Great things take time.
That's right.
So did you visit them all at once, or what was your process for deciding how to get to these towns?
I had to do 2 different trips because like half of them are in central Oregon, and then the other 2 of them are in really, really remote part of eastern Oregon, like an hour west of Baker City. So yeah, it took me like all summer. And the smallest city only has 1 city council meeting a year. And I really wanted to go to it. So I planned my trip around that. And that was Greenhorn, and their city council meets on July 5th. And I got to go to their city council meeting, and it was, if you're like a local government dork, it was very exciting for me.
The Leslie Nopes of the world.
I have like a real Leslie Knope streak around me. And I think part of why I wanted to do this is just to go to someplace different, and maybe go to a place that like an Oregonian reporter's probably never been to the Greenhorn City Council meeting before. But also this idea that like people, if you live in a town of only 20 people, everyone is actively involved in their local democracy, right? Like you all have to come together to make this town work. People are volunteering to like fix water lines when they break, and like are graveling the streets together. And I don't know, I think there's something really charming or optimistic or something about like real local democracy in action.
Well, I feel like my curiosity is piqued. You've been talking about these 5 smallest cities. Why don't we talk about what they are, where they are? Give us like a brief overview of what we're talking about.
Sure, yeah, I probably should list the 5. So starting at number 5, Antelope. Antelope is in Wasco County. It's like north central part of the state. It's probably the one that people have heard of most likely because of the whole thing in the 80s where the Rajneesh cult moved in and kind of took over their town for like a year and a half. They built their own city of Rajneeshpuram outside of Antelope. And then when the legality of that city was questioned, then they all decided to like move into Antelope, buy property, take over their city council. It's a whole mess, like the Wild Wild Country documentary. There's like a whole 15 different kinds of podcasts about that, but that's Antelope. It's pretty quiet now. It's actually a great place to go look at the stars because it is a dark sky community.
That's right. One of Oregon's 2 dark sky communities. Antelope,
it was the first, I believe.
Yeah. Sisters is the other one, yeah.
Yes. And there is actually a place that you can stay in Antelope. None of the other cities... Oh, wait, no, Shaniko has a place. But anyway, so Antelope has these little A-frame cabins that you can rent. They're super cute. They used to be Rajneesh housing, and they've been sort of repurposed. And you can stay the night there, and it's beautiful.
Wow. Did you find any fun little Rajneesh memorabilia in there?
Weirdly enough, the owner of the cabins left me a copy of an old Rajneesh Times newspaper from like 1983 that I got to flip through. I think that was like a special little treat. There is also somebody who lives in town who is planning to open a museum about the history of both Antelope and that whole thing that happened. It's not open yet, but I got a little sneak peek, so it should be open by next spring. I think it could be open today, but it's interesting. There's like hats and T-shirts and signs, and when the commune fell apart, they just sort of left all their stuff.
Wow.
So it's kind of like Rajneesh ephemera, in this museum. It's weird. It's cool. It's a cute little town.
So beyond this kind of upcoming museum, what else is there to do in Antelope, or what did you find yourself doing?
There's nothing else to do in Antelope. But if you want to do nothing, that is the place to be. They're working on reopening the little convenience store / cafe. There's no like retail or anything. The closest place to get food is Madras, which is like 45 minutes away.
Oh, wow.
I'm not really a foodie, as you guys know. So I just brought like granola bars and chips and crackers. And for most of these trips, like there was nothing there. There is no stuff to do. There's not a bar or a restaurant or anything. I guess if you're into like nature, which I'm also not really into nature, but if you wanted to like hike around, there's probably something.
Yeah. Well, like, so Antelope is right near the John Day fossil beds, is I think sort of the primary thing right there. So there's a lot of, the Painted Hills nearby, but it's sort of near the Clarno section, so sort of the northern end of that. So there's a bunch of that kind of desert scenery you can get into from Antelope. I sort of know it as a place I drive through after visiting the John Day fossil beds, where people sort of look at me from their front porch as I'm driving through town. That's the vibe I have felt in Antelope. But what I love about you, Sam, is that you get into these small towns and you go talk to the people looking at you from their front porch, and I get involved with the communities. Did you find anyone in Antelope that was particularly interesting, as aside from the person opening the Rajneesh Museum?
Oh God, everybody in Antelope is interesting. I will say, of the 5 cities, first off, everyone was super, super friendly, but in Antelope, people were more skeptical of you, like just stopping into their town. And I think it's because it has that history, and I don't think they probably get a lot of weirdo looky-loos who come. And so I saw a lot of private property do not enter fenced properties in Antelope that I did not see at all in any of the other towns. So I feel a little bit bad for the people in Antelope because they probably, have had some, well, they've definitely had some weird stuff happen. So, I mean, like, who could blame them for, like, being a little slightly leery?
Sure.
But Antelope has an old school building, it's like a 8,000 square foot, like concrete type structure. It was built in like 1925. It's a 100-year-old building, and they're renovating it to make it like a community center. So that was cool. So there were some dudes working on it. I went and talked to them. I met one of the city councilors, hung out with him, talked to him a little bit about what's going on in Antelope. They're pretty excited about getting the market open again. So it's cute.
I love it. So let's keep going down the list. What's number 4 on your small cities list?
Number 4 is Granite, population 32, according to the census. It's in Eastern Oregon. It's in the mountains. What are those called? The Blue Mountains? Is that a mountain range?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's there. Granite is an old gold mining town. They found gold there in like 1860 something. And at one point there were like thousands of people who lived there. And now there's, a few. And it's a place that mostly people like have summer homes there, because in the winter, like it's pretty much just snowed in. But people go and they do a lot of ATV riding and rock hounding and hunting and that sort of stuff, and it's really beautiful. I drove into town. I didn't have any like interviews or anything lined up. I couldn't find any contact for the city of Greenhorn, so I just like rolled in, and the first person I saw was a lady walking down the road carrying a paint roller, and I just like introduced myself, and she was super friendly, and she's like, yeah, come on over, we're working on a house. And I went, and she showed me that they were building a house out of like an old grain silo. It was pretty cool, and I got a tour of the town, and Granite was probably the friendliest town, I think. Like there's no place to stay in Granite, and the closest place to stay is Baker City, which ain't close. And a lady was like, oh, you can stay in my house. Like, we got a little bunkhouse. Like, just stay over. And I was going to, but then I got sick, and I had to, I was like, I don't want to make all these people sick. So I didn't get to hang out in Granite as much as I would like to, but it was great. Got a 4-wheel ride all around town.
Sounds fun.
Yeah.
There's a tiny, what used to be the city hall is like a tiny little 1-room building, like raw wood, like from gold mining days. And it's now a museum, but it has like no electricity or water or anything. So it's only open. They're planning to open it like 3 days a year, like on Memorial Day, 4th of July, and maybe Labor Day. And because I was going to that other meeting, which is close by, I was there for 4th of July. So I got to go in the little museum, and they have just like a few little things about the history of the town and a famous murder that happened there in the 1980s. It's really interesting. I won't go on a big long tangent about it, but Granite is cool. I mean, again, there's nothing to do in Granite. Like, as far as there used to be a hotel, but it closed. There used to be a gas station and a cafe, but it also closed. And it's for sale if you want to move to Granite and be the only proprietor in town.
It's out there. I'm looking at it on the map right now. Like you said, just pretty much due west of Baker City, up in the mountains. The only thing that's sort of nearby that I know to do is the Sumter Valley gold dredge near the town of Sumter, which is like a cool historic gold dredge. It's a state park now. But otherwise, like you said, up in the mountains, even these mountains, it's pretty rough and tumble trails that not a lot of people do. I imagine, like you said, a lot of ATV riders out there, a lot of hunting. I imagine some good elk hunting up there.
Totally.
That kind of vibe.
There is an interesting fact about Granite. Nearby, probably like 2 miles outside of town, is a historical site called I think it's the Ahi Diggings site. And when Granite was first, hold on, I have this information. Let me look this up in the story that I've half written and not finished. Pause, edit this out. You're gonna edit this, right?
Mm-hmm.
No,
we can do that.
Goes as is. Sorry. Where are my notes on this? When Granite was founded, before it became an actual incorporated city, but when it was just like a community of people digging for gold, it was mostly Chinese immigrants who lived there. Like, by far, there were hundreds of Chinese miners who lived there compared to just like, I don't know, fewer than 80 white miner people. So there's this huge interpretive site where the Chinese miners lived and worked, and they were stacking all these rocks in different ways. And there are some trails that you can go down. So that's kind of an interesting point. By the time Granite became an incorporated city in 1900, there were only 245 people living there, and today there are like 32.
Wow. Honestly impressive, 32 people living out there. That's the thing. It seems like nothing, but we think about living out in a small little mountain town where there's no resources. 32 seems like a lot all of a sudden.
Yeah. Well, and there's like, I want to say they told me there's close to 80 water hookups, right? So there's 80 houses, but the reason the population is low is because those people don't live there full time. They're mostly people who have like a summer cabin. This is mostly like people who have hunting cabins, basically.
I see. Okay.
And a few folks who are probably retired and live there full time.
So, going down the list.
Yes, sorry, we're probably taking way too long for this. Okay, so number 3 is Lone Rock. Lone Rock is in the center of the state. It's outside of Condon, probably. It has a population of 25 people according to the census. However, I talked to the mayor. Again, I just like kind of walked into town. Not walked. I drove and then got out of my car and then walked. And then saw a dude on a tractor, and he pointed me to the mayor's house, and I met the mayor. And 16 people live in the town currently.
Wow.
There was recently a funeral, so it's down by 1.
Oh my gosh.
And they have a city government, and they have a little bitty like town hall building. There's not much to do in Lone Rock. Again, no businesses. There's an old church that opens up for like Memorial Day and Christmas. That's kind of it. There's not much. There's a rock. There's a giant rock. There's
the Lone Rock?
Huge, weird, a giant boulder that's like 35 feet tall that's right next to the church. That's what the town was named after.
Okay.
And the reason they have a city, and most of these places I think have a city, is for water, right? Because these are all in really, really remote areas, and so they basically like run the water system. There is not a police department or anything like that. They don't offer a lot of city services. They don't even offer sewer. Like, everybody's got a septic. But the big important thing for these towns is running a water system. Number 2, oh wait, I did this wrong. Okay, so actually, number 3 is really Shaniko. I've totally screwed this up for you guys. I'm so sorry. So
it's all good. It's hard to keep track of these things. Like you said, the population changes by 1, and all of a sudden these cities go up and down a list. It's got to be hard to keep track of it all.
So like, I keep changing the order between Lone Rock and Shaniko, because if you look at the census, Shaniko has 30. Shaniko has 30 people living there according to the 2020 census. The PSU population estimate is 21, so that would make it smaller than Lone Rock's 25. But if the mayor of Lone Rock is to be believed, and they actually have 16 people, you could do a little swapperoo. But Shaniko's up there. There's probably 20-something people who live there. But there's actually a lot to do in Shaniko, because it's the only one of these cities that has like a downtown business district. So they have a hotel, there's like a little cafe, there's a little like pool hall there, a couple of antique stores. Shaniko's cute, and it's like got a real old west vibe. They have those old buildings with the false fronts, like real, turn of the last century kind of a vibe to it. There's even the old jail that they generally just like leave open, and you can just go into the old jail and take a picture. So highly recommend Shaniko as a stop.
They still do the mock gunfights there?
They have Shaniko Days, which is it's in August. And they usually have like gunslingers come in and like have an Old West fight in the middle of the road.
God.
It's great. Shaniko is also in Wasco County, and it's not that far from Antelope. So if you wanted to do a twofer.
Yeah, I feel like, as opposed to, Granite, which is like the middle of nowhere, Lone Rock, really out there. Shaniko seems like, it's off a major highway, US 97. Like you can really get to and through Shaniko without really going too far off the beaten path. It feels like of these so far, maybe the most accessible.
Totally. It's the closest to the Portland area, at least. Mm-hmm. You could totally do a little weekend trip where you went to Antelope, looked at the few little stores, got something to eat, and then went and drove another 20 miles and stayed the night in Antelope and looked at the stars. I mean, you can legit see the Milky Way over Antelope. It's gorgeous. So if you just wanted to like get away, that's a nice little weekend trip, I think.
Mm-hmm. A little Antelope, Shaniko, little twofer, like you said.
Yep. Mm-hmm. The smallest city, which according to the census had a population of 3 people, but currently has a population of 0 people, is Greenhorn. Also an old gold mining town, also up in the mountains. It is not that far as the crow flies from Granite, but it takes like an hour down a dirt road to get there from Granite. It's so remote. There is nothing there. There is not even a paved road. It's just like some cabins kind of connected by gravel. It's
wow.
Fascinating town. So fun fact, like how do you have a city if you have no people as a population? How would you like vote? Like there's no voting populace. So there was actually a special law passed in the 1980s in Oregon called like the Ghost Town Bill to allow Greenhorn to continue have a functioning government, again, because mainly of the water system. And basically it's right on the edge of Baker County. And so basically the Baker County commissioners appoint 2 people. Wait, let me double check. It might be 3 people. They appoint a couple of people. Those people then appoint the rest of the city council. And then all of those city councilors among themselves appoint the mayor. And that's how they have their government. And they have there's a special law passed to allow them to do that.
But like the mayor of what exactly? You know what I mean? Like the mayor of the water system?
Well, I mean, it's a town, so they do more than the water system. I would say that I got a copy of their city budget. It's like primarily the water system. But I guess you would, I guess there's some road maintenance, like gravel road maintenance. The other thing, actually the 2 things that when I talk to people with the cities for each of these towns, the 2 big things are water and fire. Fire danger, wildfire danger is a big issue for all of these communities. I mean, just this week, Antelope was under an evacuation order because of a wildfire. Last year, Lone Rock, like the Lone Rock fire came within feet of people's houses in the city. And they have 2 old fire trucks from literally the 1950s and the 1960s that these retired folks pull out and like hose down and save their town. It's amazing. But so the other thing that they're doing in Greenhorn is trying to get some like Firewise grants to try to like clear some brush and like make it a little bit safer for that community.
So when you were there, did you just walk down the street, see anybody, or was it just empty?
So that was the one that I did plan this second trip around, because I went to their city council meeting. I got invited to their city council meeting. I guess it's a public meeting, but you go early and there's like a potluck, and the meeting happens in a field. Everybody just like brings a chair. There is no city hall building, so everybody just like gathered round. They had like a picnic table. The mayor, who actually lives in the Portland area, gavelled a rock. Well, again, it's like summer homes, right? So it's people who have summer cabins and they spend their summers in Greenhorn. And that's why the one city council meeting a year is always, depending on where it falls, right around that 4th of July holiday, because that's when pretty much everybody is out there enjoying their cabins. And it's kind of like a summer camp. Like there were like people and kids and grandkids, and they were just like all riding around on their 4-wheelers and saying hi to everybody. And it's I felt like I had just dropped in on a family reunion, basically.
Wow.
They talked about raising the water rates because they have to make some repairs to their water lines, you know. It was really, everyone was, again, really friendly. I got an ATV ride up to see the Greenhorn, right? That Greenhorn is supposedly named after. There's a bunch of this green rock around, like serpentine rock. And there are 2 stories that the old timers will tell you about how Greenhorn got its name. And one is this green rock, and there's this like kind of a horn looking rocks structure on the side of a mountain. So that could be the Greenhorn. And the other story is that there were these 2 dudes who came up back when it was a gold mining town, you know, city slickers, and they were like, where can we find some gold, you guys, at the bar? And the people at the bar were like, oh yeah, you idiots, just go it's right there, that's where the gold, like they pointed to some random spot, and then they struck, and everybody thought that was really funny. So that's the 2 stories about how Greenhorn got its name. The second one is maybe less realistic, but it's funner to believe.
Sure. Well, I feel like the gold mining history in Oregon, just like there's so much there. I feel like Oregon's not always thought of as like a gold mining place because it's not California. I don't know, but there's like, I mean, as you see, so many towns, big and small, that really came about because of the gold mining industry. But now it seems like, you know, people aren't out there mining gold as much anyway, but people are still out there in these little summer cabins, still making these places their homes. And I think it's fascinating. I didn't realize, because it sounds like of the water situation. You can have a home where you can have running water, and then you can actually survive out there.
Yeah, I mean, it's not, doesn't seem like it's easy. I was told that a couple of years ago, there was like one family who homesteaded up there like year round, like through the snow, because nobody plows Greenhorn. Like, you were stuck. The only way to get out of Greenhorn in the winter is with a snowmobile. Like, everybody's got a snowmobile. They told me they had 12 feet of snow last year.
Oof, wow.
So there was one family that was sticking it out, and then they gave up a couple years ago. So that's why the population right now is 0.
Man.
The other thing that's crazy about Greenhorn is that you will see like barns with the door that's like 15 feet up, and then there's a like a ramp to that door, and you're like, what is that? That's where they keep their snowmobile. So that in the winter, if you're there in the winter, that's the only way that you can get in and out, is like a snowmobile that's 10 feet off the ground.
That's insane to me. I mean, I'm so, you know, I love that people feel determined to be out there through a winter, but I can like literally not imagine doing that myself. So it's great that you're finding the stories and finding these people who are out there doing it. I think it's fascinating.
I think the people who live in these towns really like the solitude and the nature of it all. And it's amazing to go to these towns and people are kind of living like it's at least 40 and maybe 140 years ago. There's no cell service, you know, people don't have emails necessarily. It's kind of charming to realize you could still live a life like that.
And out of all of the cities that you visited and all of the kind of things that you saw in your journey, was there one place that maybe stuck out as your favorite, or one thing that you did that was your favorite thing?
I don't know. I was really charmed by Greenhorn and Granite. Those are the last 2 that I went to, because they're kind of close together, just because of how totally isolated it was and how super duper friendly everybody was. they were just like, yeah, come on over to my house. Like, let's, hang out on the porch. And, multiple people offered me a place to stay in both towns because there's no place else to stay. And then the other thing that's fascinating about pretty much all these towns, but particularly those two, most of the buildings there, or a lot of the buildings, are from those gold mining days. Like, these are old, like, wood log cabin type places that you just don't think about still existing. It's pretty amazing.
Are you planning on going back to any of these places?
I totally want to go back to Granite and take up that lady on her offer to stay in her bunkhouse. Granite seems like a really fun place to just hang out on an ATV for a while and go rock hunting, for sure. And people still like look for gold, Almost everybody around there has like a little pan or something, just as like a hobby thing to do. So
it's out there. They didn't take it all away,
Yeah, it's still there.
The dream of the 1890s is alive in Granite and Greenhorn and all these places.
I think that's true. I mean, if I was like a kid and like Papa had a mountain house up there in the summer and you could spend the summers like painting for gold in the creek, like that would be super fun. So
absolutely.
People are still doing it.
Well, this is super interesting. I always love having you on, Sam, because you always come back from Eastern Oregon, usually specifically Eastern Oregon, with like all these different tales and all these stories and all of these places that like I drive around Eastern Oregon a lot. I've never gone to any of these places. I've never heard of them. I love that you dive deep into this. So thank you so much for bringing so much more small city, interesting people back to us here.
It is my pleasure to come and talk about it.
Well, folks, that will do it for us for today. Until next time, you can watch our videos on the Oregonians YouTube channel and view all of our travel and outdoors coverage on OregonLive.com/travel, as well as HereIsOregon.com.
Please leave us a rating or review if you enjoy the show, and if you want to support this podcast as well as our local journalism, please consider a subscription to Oregon Live. You can find details at OregonLive.com/subscribe. Also, if you're a fan of the show and you're interested in potentially sponsoring it, you can get in touch with our marketing people at advertise@Oregonian.com. This episode of the show is produced by me alongside Jamie Hale, Teresa Mahoney, and Vicki Connor.
Stay safe and happy travels, everyone. Until next time, we leave you with this 10 seconds of Zen.